I want to start this session quickly by introducing everyone to David Anderson, who's the president and CEO of Mimo. David, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about this. So you have a new product called FlashCast, which I think it's called FlashCast Visual, which is an alert overlay for mass notification systems, making real-time messaging a lot easier. Now you're kind of, first off, I think you ought to kind of position yourself and explain what Mimo monitor. I mean, I know all about Mimo, and I've been talking about y'all and how you're unique in the industry and some of the things that you've done. You're the first company, by the way, that I remember actually integrating an AV over IP solution in a finished product rather than just talking about it as an encoder decoder product. So introduce everyone to who Mimo is and tell us about what you're launching today.
So Mimo monitors, we generally focus on small displays, so 7 to 32, although the vast majority of the business we do is 10 and 15.6. About half our business is UCC, what you went through yesterday. We are, in the box. That market is very often conference room in a box, and we're the maker of the touchscreen and a number of the names you probably talked about yesterday. So we have an AV over IP solution for UCC that we call the Mist. That's not why I'm here, but that's sort of what it is that we do. But we're a generic display and tablet provider. We just focus on the niche, which is small, right? So
and by the way, for those of you who are interested in UC rooms, like Teams rooms, Zoom rooms, you have a complete packaged solution, which is a controller, which is Teams certified. Also, you get a Zoom option, and you have a unique ability to actually make it where you can build a room with a controller that it does both and can be a BYOM solution as well. So you ought to go check them out, Mimo. But today you're here to talk about FlashCast. So tell me what the impetus of FlashCast was, and tell us a little bit about it. Kind of give us an overview.
Yeah. So, okay. I see my slides are up,
Yep.
and I guess I introduced myself already, but this is a little bit about who we are. Again, trusted or small touchscreens and displays. Some of our larger customers that we can talk about: Google, Lenovo, Asus, Bose. Those are all names you probably talked about yesterday, and then. We try to always stay at the forefront of technology, which is where FlashCast comes from. So the impetus of FlashCast is basically notifications for being able to get notifications out. And there are systems that do that, or digital signage software which does that. The issue is there is no one standard across all displays. Some systems support it, some systems don't. The way it's supported is different. So if you wanted to get a mass notification out about weather or God forbid, active shooter or things like that. There's no, I always say the big red button. There's no one big red button that you can hit and it goes out everywhere.
Yeah.
And part of that was a conversation I actually had with a university that will remain nameless. I'm going to protect the innocent here. But he was in the AV department at a large university. And he started counting the number of different digital signage platforms they had within their campus. He got to 20 and he stopped counting.
Wow. Yeah. And that is a problem, because what happens is, and just to put this, because as a normal AV integrator that doesn't serve higher education, so that they understand why that is. So generally, most universities have campus AV departments, but then they also have department AV departments. So what happens is you have like a campus AV department, but the medical school has their own AV department. The journalism school has their own, the business school has their own, and athletics has their own, and student services has their own. So you end up having all these different decision makers that aren't collaborating together. And so it's very typical to have a half a dozen or more different digital signage systems. So you're right, getting notifications across campus wide is cumbersome. So you're offering that as an opportunity.
And so what we've done here is we created a little piece of hardware sorry if I flip my little page forward here. What we call the FlashCast, the visual alert overlay, game-changing solution, where basically what we're doing, rather than dealing with software and things like that, what we did was we decided to go to standards-based. So what's the standard in AV? It's HDMI, right? So long as your system has an HDMI port, what we built is a little piece of hardware. It's relatively small, there it is, that takes network in and out, so it's connected to the cloud. It takes HDMI in and out. So, and in the normal case, all it's doing is passing what comes in and sends it straight out. It supports HDMI 2.0 or 2.1, so it actually will send an 8K signal straight through it. And 99% of the time, it's doing absolutely nothing.
Right. Basically, it's just passing the signal through.
It's basically passing the signal through. And from a security perspective, actually, we don't even have access to the pixels that are there. So, if anybody's worried about, anybody hacking into the thing, you wouldn't be able to get any information about what's being passed through it. But then what we do is we can overlay information on top of what it is. And then we've built a whole cloud-based UI such that from one person at their desk, they can put an alert out across their entire campus to different groups, stuff like that. We also integrate with things like Alertis or Alertis and some of these other pieces of software, so we can take in their alert and based on some information automatically push that out. So then Alertis is the big red button. You hit that and it goes out across your entire campus.
So basically what you're saying here is that as long as you have HDMI somewhere in the system, you're basically providing the ability to overlay content on top of what's going on. So what I imagine is, as you said, God forbid there's a shooter, but we actually had one on our campus last semester, Joe. So let's, Scott Tyner, who's going to come on here in our next session, they had one in his hometown. So this happens. This is real world, right? So you have an active shooter on campus or suspicion of one. You're able to, because you're just routing HDMI through, you can do it at the end monitor, or you can do it at the head end of a room. It doesn't really matter as long as you route the HDMI through up to 8K resolution. That overlay is going to appear to any display that's connected to that. So if I already have a digital signage network in, all I got to do is insert this on the output of the digital signage media player, between the output of the digital signage media player to the input of the display. But if you have a conference room and you've got that connected up HDMI, do the same thing. Or if you have a classroom, you have a projector in the ceiling, and I've got a matrix switcher going to the projector, all I got to do is put that up in the ceiling where the projector is. And as long as I've got it connected to the network, I'm going to be able to send that overlay to any of those boxes in real time.
Yeah, that's correct. It does not matter what the HDMI source is. It's just overlaying pixels on top of HDMI. So really when we get into a demo here shortly, I've got a laptop. You can put it up now. I've got a laptop, and then I've got Google Meet, a Google Meet room. When you put up those two displays that are, I guess I should explain what we have here. So just for the case of the demo,
they're up now.
You see my two things that are live here. For the case of the demo, what we have is an HDMI source running through our box, coming out of the box, running into an HDMI capture card and into a laptop so that everybody can see.
So on the top right, what we're seeing is the output source.
So what you're seeing is the output source of two different systems, and the only reason we have two is just so you can see that things are happening simultaneously. And you can also see the little Mimo logo over in the corner. That is actually overlaid, right? Okay. So what you're seeing right there is Google Meet, and then just my laptop, which is sitting over here. You can see my little cursor moving around. And And so it's live as well. So I can just hit the little button here. Whoops. If I hit join, that will start a Google Meet meeting, just to show that things are live. I'm going to hang up on that real quick. But basically not affecting anything that is going on. We're just overlaying over the top of it. And so if I just sort of share my screen here.
And do you have a template? Do you have a set of templates for these overlays, or can you lay them out any way you want, or sort of how does that work?
So the answer to that is yes, both.
Okay.
So it is all template based, right? So and I'll show a couple of different things that we've done in templates, but every pixel is programmable on the screen, right?
Okay.
So you can basically do anything, but it's not traditional digital signage software.
Right.
You can't. I can't play video.
Right.
I guess one of the things that we want to be clear here is we intended this to really go everywhere. So we've kept the cost very low. At this point, our MSRP is $129.
Wow. So the box with the HDMI loop through, as well as the network in and out, is $125.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so you're really trying to go for campus-wide deployment. I think Scott, I see Scott Tyner in our green room. I'm curious. I want to see a thumbs up or thumbs down. What do you think, Scott? Scott runs all of Bates College AV, and he's giving a thumbs up. You're going to see him and meet him in the next session. We're going to interview him. And that's amazing. So what you're trying to say here is we're not a digital science company. We're trying to send this everywhere. We're trying to solve a problem that universities have, or even K through 12 in this case, for $125. And you're able to send an emergency alert. And those could be pre-programmed alerts, right? I mean, you could pre-program like immediately lockdown now or whatever you want to say for any kind of condition. But could you also put up like QR codes and things like that, David?
It's an image. It's programmable text, image, pixels, basically anything you want. So I know we have a limited amount of time here. So I do want to show it working.
Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll pop those back up.
I guess while I'm doing that, one thing I do want to add is that we also can overlay audio. So we can take over audio, play some
through the HDMI. So if they've got it connected up through HDMI, then you can overlay audio. Yes,
that's correct.
Very cool.
I'm going to hide this. You guys see my screen now?
Yep. We can see all three.
So basically what this is the dashboard for the front end. So, there's users that you can create, and users have different permissions as to whether you want them to be able to, select things, that kind of stuff. This is the important, not that one. This is the important thing where you can configure certain systems. Right now, we only have integrated digital alert systems. I do want to show this very quickly, where you can configure what you want to happen. So you can pick whether the different things that are here, weather alerts, dust storms, earthquakes, what you care about. Select the county that you're in, and then it will limit it down. Select what group you want these things sent to. We can talk about that a little bit as well. And then whether you want it to send automatically or whether you need approval. Or in other words, if this thing triggers, it can automatically happen, or it will just go into the dashboard up here as alerts that need approval, and then somebody needs to click yes, I want to post that. So certainly some things like a thunderstorm warning, maybe you don't want that to happen automatically, but an active shooter from a system like Alertus, you don't want to have any intervention. You want that to happen immediately.
Okay.
And I know we're running out of time, so I'm just going to create a quick alert here. Hopefully my systems are up there. So right now what you're seeing is the little Mimo logo. Yep. I'm going to just send this
put
thing
up all three monitors now, Kayye.
Do we have all three of them? I can't see.
They're up. Yep.
Okay. And the text for this particular demo doesn't matter. I'm going to send it out to the group of those two devices, and this will spin for a second. And sorry, I'm looking over there. What you see now is, so this is an example of, a high importance alert. And now whatever it was you were doing, you are no longer doing it, right? If you were in a Google Meet meeting or on your laptop, or you're in a classroom or whatever, this is saying there's a tornado, take cover immediately. Again, we can put audio over the top of it to try to get more instruction. You can change the other things. One of the other things we can do is just a simple ticker. So as I click that button, what it'll flip over to is now it might be a little hard to see, but there's a ticker that is running across the screen with whatever the most recent alert was.
Yeah, we've got that full screen so we can see it. I have some questions for you. Can you answer some quick questions for our last minute?
I have all the time. It's a question of when I run out of time with you.
No, can multiple messages be stored for instant recall? You already said yes. In that case, you showed that. Multiple button input. So is the message stored on the local device, or do we need one device for each screen? I think the answer is one device for each screen. However, if you have a matrix switcher, or if you have a distribution amp in the head end, it could send it to multiple screens at the same time, right? You don't have to have one per screen.
Yeah, it's an HDMI source, right? So it's gonna, so long as you want the same thing to go out everywhere, it will do that. Obviously, we kind of intended it to be one per screen. But it really depends on the architecture.
I mean, $125, that's a great price. Aaron Darnell is asking, are there elegant wipes / fades for bringing the overlay in and out of the frame, or is it just a switch?
It's just a switch. I mean, I suppose we can do animation. I can't do video. I can do, we can do
like
5 frames a second kind of thing. So we could build an animation if that were something that were.
Here's another question. Derek Butler's asking, what is the refresh frequency for reading XML content, such as rave alerts using CAP protocol?
I guess that's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, the text can constantly be updated, and we can do animations about 5 or 8 frames a second.
Okay. Well, I think so
it can be refreshed pretty quickly.
All right. So Derek, we'll get you directly in touch with David so that he can investigate your particular application, because it sounds like you have an application directly for it, David. This is pretty amazing. $125 per screen, or wherever you want it to go. HDMI loop through, just connected to the network. One quick question, another question, David. Is it only wired network, or can it work off Wi-Fi as well?
Call it, our current revision of hardware is wired only, and it's PoE only. That's the only way to power it. We intend to make a wireless version of it, but to keep the cost to where it is, it's going to be a different SKU.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So when is this available, David?
Everything exists today. What we are truly looking for now is a handful of beta customers for us to work out the things that nobody does this, so we don't really have a template of something to follow. So we're really looking for a few partners to help us through the software side of things, so that we can finalize stuff.
I think we have a couple of universities
to make this fully available.
I'm pretty sure we can find a couple of universities. We have our people in our green room raising their hand, and I'll raise our hand on behalf of UNC. I mean, I think this is awesome. Congratulations to Mimo. This is called FlashCast Visual Alert Overlay. It's $125. Great demo, David. You showed how simple it is to use. And I like the fact that you're just doing an overlay rather than taking over the signal. That is very creatively thought out. And the fact that you can pixel map it is also pretty cool. So thank you, David. I appreciate you doing this.